My name is Alicia, and today I want to share something very personal with you. It's about my daily struggle. Life can be hard, and every day I face new challenges. I wake up early every morning, hoping today will be better than yesterday. But sometimes things don't go as planned, and that can be very hard. I remember one morning when I couldn't find my keys. I had to be at work early, and I searched everywhere, but they were gone. I sat down on the floor and felt like crying. My hands were shaking, and I felt so frustrated. My mind was full of thoughts. What if I lose my job because I'm late? What if people think I'm careless? I felt so small at that moment. I often struggle with time. No matter how early I wake up, I always seem to be running late. The clock moves too fast, and I'm always in a rush. I feel stressed when I can't keep up. I wish I had more time, but the days are so short. Sometimes I'm even late for lunch or miss important things. It feels like the whole world is moving faster than I can handle. There was this one day I was late for an important meeting. My boss, James, looked so disappointed. I could see the frustration in his eyes, and that made me feel even worse. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. I had to stay strong, even though my heart was heavy. I felt like I had failed everyone, including myself. But that's just one part of my struggle. Every day, I also struggle with confidence. When I walk into a room full of people, I feel nervous. I don't know what to say or where to stand. I feel like everyone is looking at me, judging me. My heart races and my palms get sweaty. It's a scary feeling, and it happens almost every day. Learning English has been a big help in dealing with these feelings. I wasn't always good at speaking English, but I knew I had to improve. English is everywhere in my life, at work, in the shops, even with my friends. It felt like a wall between me and everyone else. But I started studying just a little each day. I read simple books, listened to English songs, and watched TV shows. At first it was hard, but over time, I got better. Now, when I feel nervous, I remember how far I've come. Learning a new language was hard, but I did it. So maybe I can handle the rest of life's struggles too. I often think of little moments from my childhood, like when my friend Olivia fell and I helped her up. We were just kids. But that small act of kindness made me realize that no matter how hard life is, there's always something good you can do. Then, there are days when I feel completely alone. I live far from my family, and sometimes I wish I could just go home and talk to my mum. My dad, George, always had the right words to say when I was feeling down. He would sit next to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and say, "Everything will be all right." Alicia, his voice made everything seem less scary. Now, I don't have that. I have to be my own support. There was a time when I didn't have enough money to pay my rent. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I cried that night, wondering how I would make it through. But the next day I woke up and went to work. I worked extra hours, did more than I needed to, and eventually I managed to pay the rent. That experience taught me that even when things seem impossible, I can't give up. I have to keep going. One day I was walking home after a long day at work. It started raining, and I didn't have an umbrella. I stood there, feeling the rain fall on my face, and for a moment it felt like the sky was crying with me. I felt the tears mix with the rain, and I let myself cry. It was a release, something I needed. I realized that sometimes it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel weak. My friend Benjamin often tells me that we all struggle. He says, "You are not alone, Alicia." We all have our battles. I try to remember his words when I feel down. It's true, we all go through hard times, but we don't have to face them alone. Sometimes I call my friend Sophia, and we talk for hours. She always knows how to make me laugh, even on my worst days. Her laughter is like sunshine on a cloudy day, and it reminds me that there's always something to be thankful for. I have learned that patience is key. When things don't go my way, I remind myself that life is not a race. We all move at our own pace. Some days are slower than others, and that's okay. One step at a time and I'll get there. I remember a day when I was feeling very sad. I had missed a deadline at work, and I was sure my boss was going to fire me. I was sitting in the park, feeling lost, when a little girl came up to me. She smiled and handed me a flower. "Here, this is for you," she said. That small act of kindness warmed my heart. It reminded me that even on the darkest days, there's still beauty in the world. Another struggle I face is trying to fit in. I moved to a new city, and it feels like everyone already has their group of friends. I often find myself sitting alone, wondering if I'll ever feel like I belong. But then I remind myself that it takes time. Just like learning English, making friends takes patience. I have to keep trying, even when it feels hard. English has opened so many doors for me. It has allowed me to connect with people I wouldn't have been able to talk to otherwise. It's not just a language, it's a bridge between me and the world. I used to be afraid to speak in English, but now I feel more confident. Every word I learn gives me strength. Every sentence I speak makes me feel more powerful. One of my biggest challenges is staying positive. When things go wrong, it's easy to fall into a negative mindset. I sometimes feel like everything is against me. But I've learned that a positive attitude can change everything. When I wake up in the morning, I try to think of one good thing that will happen today. Even if it's something small, like having a cup of coffee or taking a walk in the park, it helps me start the day with a smile. There are days when I feel like giving up. When I'm tired, when I've had too many problems, when everything feels too hard. But then I think about all the people who believe in me. My family, my friends, even strangers who have shown me kindness. They give me the strength to keep going. One evening I was sitting in my room, feeling like I had failed. My phone rang, and it was my brother John. He didn't say much, but just hearing his voice reminded me that I'm not alone. We talked about silly things, and for a moment I forgot all my worries. It made me realize that sometimes we just need someone to listen, someone to remind us that things will get better. I try to remind myself every day that I'm stronger than I think. Life is not perfect and I'm not perfect, but that's okay. Each day is a new chance to try again. And each day I learn a little more about myself. As I sat there, staring at the ceiling, I thought about how far I've come. There were days when I didn't think I'd make it this far. I remember when I was a little girl, and everything seemed so big and impossible. I used to watch my mum, Charlotte, working so hard to take care of us. She was always so tired, but she never gave up. I admired her strength, and I wanted to be like her. But now, as an adult, I realize how hard it is to stay strong every day. There was one night when I was so overwhelmed. I had so many things to do: work, bills, laundry. It all piled up, and I didn't know where to start. I sat on the floor of my living room, surrounded by papers and clothes, and I started to cry. The tears just wouldn't stop. I felt so small, like I was drowning in everything. I called my friend David, and he came over. He didn't say much, but just having him there made me feel less alone. Sometimes that's all we need, someone to be there. I often think about my brother Thomas. He was always the brave one, the one who never seemed afraid of anything. But one day he called me, and I could hear the fear in his voice. "Alicia," he said, "I don't know what to do." Everything's falling apart. Hearing him, the strong one, sound so lost made me realize that we all have moments of weakness. It's okay to admit that we're struggling. It doesn't make us any less strong. English has been my lifeline in many ways. I used to feel so trapped in my own thoughts, unable to express myself. But as I learned more words, more phrases, I found that I could communicate my feelings. It wasn't easy. I remember my first day at work, trying to speak in English. I was so nervous. My words came out wrong, and I felt embarrassed. But over time I got better. I made mistakes, but each mistake taught me something new. One of the things that has helped me is practicing with friends. My friend Ava is a native English speaker, and she always encourages me. She tells me, Don't worry about making mistakes, Alicia. That's how you learn. Her words give me the courage to keep trying. I still make mistakes, but I've learned not to be so hard on myself. Each mistake is just a step toward getting better. There was a time when I felt like I wasn't good enough. No matter how hard I worked, it never seemed to be enough. I would look around and see other people who seemed to have it all together. They had better jobs, nicer homes, more friends. I felt like I was always behind, always struggling to catch up. But then, I had a conversation with my Uncle Robert. He told me, Alicia, everyone is struggling with something. Just because you don't see their struggle doesn't mean it's not there. His words stuck with me. It's easy to look at other people and think they have it all figured out. But we all have our own battles. Some people are just better at hiding them. That realization helped me to stop comparing myself to others. I'm on my own journey, and that's okay. One of the hardest things I've faced is rejection. There was a job I really wanted. I prepared for weeks, practicing my English, reading about the company, and doing everything I could to get ready. But when the interview came, I was so nervous that I stumbled over my words. I could see the look of doubt in the interviewer's eyes, and I knew I hadn't done well. When they called me a week later to tell me I didn't get the job, my heart sank. I felt like a failure. I called my friend William and told him about it. He listened patiently and then said something that changed my perspective. Alicia, he said, this isn't the end. It's just one door closing. Another one will open. I didn't believe him at first, but over time I realized he was right. I kept applying for jobs, kept working on my English, and eventually I found a job that was even better than the one I had lost. It's hard to stay motivated when things don't go your way. I've had days where I just wanted to stay in bed, pull the covers over my head, and ignore the world. But then I remember all the people who have supported me, my family, my friends, even strangers who have shown me kindness. They give me the strength to get up and try again. My dad used to tell me, Alicia, you're stronger than you think. I didn't always believe him, but now I see that he was right. We all have a strength inside of us, even when we don't feel it. It's there, waiting for us to tap into it. One of the most emotional moments I've experienced was when my best friend, Sophia, moved away. We had been friends since childhood, and we did everything together. She was the person I called when I was sad, the person who knew how to make me laugh when I felt like crying. When she told me she was moving to another city, I felt like a part of me was leaving with her. On the day she left, we stood at the train station, hugging and crying. We'll still talk every day, she promised, but I knew it wouldn't be the same. After she left, I felt so alone. I didn't know how to fill the void that she had left. But slowly I learned to adapt. I found new routines, new ways to keep busy. And while I still miss her, I've learned that change is a part of life. People come and go, but the memories we make with them stay with us forever. Another struggle I face is dealing with anxiety. There are days when my mind is racing, filled with worries about the future. I think about all the things that could go wrong, and it becomes overwhelming. But I've learned some techniques to help calm my mind. I take deep breaths, go for walks, and try to focus on the present moment. It's not always easy, but it helps. I also write in a journal. Writing has become my way of processing my feelings. When I'm feeling anxious or sad, I open my journal and write down everything that's on my mind. It's like having a conversation with myself. It helps me to see things more clearly, and sometimes just getting the words out makes me feel better. Learning English has also helped me deal with anxiety. Being able to express myself in a second language gives me confidence. It reminds me that I'm capable of learning and growing, even when things feel difficult. One memory that always brings a smile to my face is the time I helped a stranger. I was in the grocery store, and an elderly woman, Charlotte, was struggling to reach something on a high shelf. Without thinking, I walked over and helped her. She smiled and said, "Thank you, dear. You've made my day. That small act of kindness made me feel so good." It reminded me that no matter how hard life is, we can always find ways to make someone else's day a little brighter. There are still many days when I struggle. Some days it feels like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. But I've learned to take things one day at a time. I remind myself that it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to feel lost. But I also remind myself that things will get better. English has become a tool for me, not just to communicate with others, but to understand myself better. I've learned to describe my feelings, to express my hopes and dreams, and to connect with people in a way I never thought possible. It's been a long journey, and I know it's not over yet. Every night before I go to bed, I think about the day. I think about what I've learned, what I've struggled with, and what I'm grateful for. I try to end each day with a positive thought, no matter how hard the day has been. The struggles aren't over. Life is full of ups and downs, and I know I'll face more challenges in the future. But now, I feel more prepared. I have the tools to face whatever comes my way. I have my friends, my family, and the strength I've found within myself. And so, my story continues. Life is a journey, and every day brings new lessons, new challenges, and new opportunities. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I'm ready to face it. I'm ready to keep going, to keep learning, and to keep growing.